Welcome back to the Most Wanted Music 2021. Here from the cyber stage is JP talking. And I want just to give you a brief introduction about what is going to happen now. As you saw, there will be three amazing professionals, and we are going to be talking about Explore Europe Gateway for Funding. Because like funding is always like an ocean, especially in the music industry. In order for you to be able to produce project, you need funding, and to be able to know where to look for this funding in the sea that it's like endless, and to be able to be oriented. We are going to have this talk today with three amazing professionals which are going to guide us between the biggest European funding possibilities for cultural activities and creative economy. And so I want to welcome to the stage Franziska Scherer, which is an EU framework programs for research, and she has a background as educational scientist. Anja Dietzmann, which is the national contact point for European culture funding and was also active in the Leipzig independent dance scene. And Rosita Kürbis, which will be moderating this panel, which is a funding consultant for your project, your funding. So, wonderful ladies, I give you the word and I'm going to be listening. Very, very interested.
Unmute. Here I am. Thank you, JP. And welcome to the session. I'm excited too. I'm Rosita Kürbis, as I said, and I'm a funding consultant in the cultural and creative industries. So today and in this session, we want to focus on funding measures for culture in Europe. And as JP already introduced, it's about Creative Europe Culture and Horizon Europe. The new funding period started this year and is running until 2027. So here in the session, we are talking about the programs for the next 7 years. And it's up to you to get informed and to start early with it. So here we are with the information you need for the beginning to find yourself through the, as JP said, the sea of funding possibilities in Europe. To give you a short hint on how we do it, we will start with Creative Europe and Anja Dietzmann from the CED-Kultur in Germany. And Creative Europe Culture addresses European cooperation projects, networks, platforms, and mobility for artists and professionals, as well as pan-European entities. Today, we will focus on one of these points, and it has a total budget of 2.44 billion euros for the next 7 years. And then we will move over to Horizon Europe and Franziska Scherer from the NKS. This is the national contact point in Germany. And Horizon Europe is the new framework program for research with a total budget of 95 billion euros. And today we are going, as this is a very big program and framework program, we focus on Pillar 2, the global challenges and European industrial competitiveness, and the cluster culture, creativity, and social society. So thank you for listening, for being here. And I think we're all set to begin with Anja Dietzmann.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction and a warm welcome also from my side. I prepared a presentation, so just let me share the screen. One moment.
While you're looking, Anja, I forgot to say something. We are going to have a short question and answer session at the end. So we get the presentations and the information first, and then it's your turn to ask your questions.
Okay. Yes, like Rosita already said, I will present to you briefly the essence and the criteria of the Creative Europe Culture Program. Okay. When we are talking about European funding opportunities for cultural projects, we are always talking about the Creative Europe program and about European partners, about European corporations. So the Creative Europe program begins where many national fundings ends, and we will have a look how does that look, especially for the music sector. The Creative Europe Culture Program supports, for example, the Key Change project, which is a European, almost global network and movement working towards gender equality. It is one funded project from the music sector from the program. There are different programs like the Big Bang, different projects that are funded by Creative Europe Culture, like the Big Bang project. This is a cooperation project that develops new formats of music education. Small cooperation projects are also funded, like the Migrant Music Manifesto. It is a project that promotes transcultural dialogues and the participation of migrants and refugees by presenting musical diversity. Another really different project is, for example, Blockchain My Art. Blockchain My Art is using new technologies like the blockchain technology to develop an app to make ticketing more transparent, especially for music festivals. And we also have another example. This is the Green Europe Experience project, a cooperation of European music festivals. And they cooperate together to find new strategies to make music festivals greener, environmental friendly, and more sustainable. These are just some examples for funded projects in the music sector. The program is open for all sectors. So like you can see, there are many, many different projects that are funded under this, this program. All the projects the program follows two visions, like the aims of the Creative Europe Culture Program. And this is first to safeguard, develop, and promote European culture, cultural and linguistic diversity, and to promote Europe's cultural heritage. And the second vision is to strengthen the competitiveness of the European cultural and creative sectors. So how are these two visions are implemented by the program? Let's have a look to Creative Europe itself. Like Rosita already said, the Creative Europe program for the next 7 years has a total budget of 2.2 billion euros. It is divided into several sub-programs: the media program, the culture program, and the cross-sector part. Today, we will just focus on the culture program because media is dedicated to the film funding. Cross-sector is news media and the support for the Creative Europe desks, which I'm working for. And the culture program is, for example, for the music sector. The sub-program culture supports the cultural and creative sectors in Europe, and it has several funding schemes. So these are many different aspects of the program to support the creative sector, and I will just focus on the European cooperation projects today, because it is the biggest and most relevant scheme for project-based support. Before explaining some formal and content related requirements, I just want to go into the timeline because the first question is always, when is the next call? Where and when can I apply? So the negative news, we don't really know when exactly the next call will be published. We are still waiting for the publication of the work program, but the cooperation projects are published yearly, and the next call will be probably end of this year or in the beginning of next year. The deadline is always 6 to 8 weeks after the publication, so you should get in contact with us earlier to look at the application forms from the former course, so you can prepare earlier. The results are published around 6 months after the deadline. And then if you get funding, there are 2 to 3 months where you define and prepare the grant agreement. So this is the timeline you really have to set if you want to apply for the program. So you have to start early. There are 3 different categories of cooperation projects, the small, the middle-scale cooperation projects, and the large-scale cooperation projects. And they differ in terms of number of organizations, so the number of partners. And they also differ in terms of the grant, which scales with the number of partners. So you have a grant of co-financing of 80% and the maximum amount of €2,000 for the small scale projects, and it goes to 60% co-financing and a maximum amount of €2 million for the large scale projects. There's only one maximum project duration for all categories, and this is 4 years. So if you decide to apply for a grant, you need partners. One of the organizations will be the lead partner responsible for the administration of the project. But together with the partners, you submit one joint application. So you just have one application together. Now, the question is, who can be lead partner and who can be partner in a European cooperation project? So who is eligible? Organizations from all sectors with these formal requirements. Organizations have to be a legal entity. They can be public or private, non-profit or profit-oriented. And lead partner has to be legally established for 2 years prior to the deadline. Another requirement is the location. So organizations have to be located in an eligible country. This map shows the countries that are eligible for the European cooperation projects at the moment. Let us go on to what is eligible. The European added value hovers over everything. Like I said in the beginning, European funding begins where national funding ends. So this is the core of the European added value. And you can ask yourself questions like, why does the project have to be carried out with European partner organizations? What are the common challenges that can only be addressed in this cooperation? These are questions standing behind this buzzword European added value. And European cooperation projects should also contribute to some more content-related requirements, for example, to these objectives. You can decide which objective you want to choose. So the first is to strengthen the transnational creation and circulation of European works and realizing co-productions. And the second objective is to enhance the capacity of European cultural and creative sectors to nurture talents. These are the two objectives the program has. Furthermore, the project should also contribute to one or two of the following priorities. I will not have the time to go into details here. It's just important for you to know that you find an appropriate focus for your project and decide if you're going to improve the audience development, or if you are dealing with cultural participation, or with new ecological friendly strategies, or if you are testing new technologies for your sector. So, or if your project is focusing on capacity building, because if you are really focusing on capacity building, perhaps the sector-specific priority for music is interesting for you. This is something new in the current program period, and this is the music priority to reinforce the capacity building of music professionals in different parts. And a second priority here would be cross-border circulation of European music and music export beyond EU borders. So this very international perspective. There's one last requirement I just want to pop into, and these are the cross-cutting issues. It's also something new in the current program. And every project funded by the program has to contribute to these two issues. So that means you should develop a strategy how the project can contribute to inclusion, diversity, and gender equality, and to the protection of the environment. Something like reducing the travels by plane, or guarantee a gender equal selection process, and other methods. So this was a very short run through the European cooperation projects. Let us go back to the whole sub-program culture, and I just want to bring your attention to one special action, Music Moves Europe. And Music Moves Europe is a European Commission's pilot program for initiatives and actions supporting the European music sector. One of this currently launched action is Music Air, carried out by the European Music Council and Innova Plus. And first calls in these initiatives are expected to be published in January 2022. Probably there will be more calls for Music Moves Europe in the next year. So you can contact us or subscribe to our newsletter to really get the information. And it was just important to me to show you this pilot program. But yeah, let's focus on the European cooperation projects for today. To sum up here, I want to give you an answer to I want to give you an answer to the question, when does the program apply for my project? And this is if you want to work on a European level, if you have European partners, and if your project has a European added value for the cultural sector. Then your project fits into the program, and you can contact the CED-Kultur because we are your partner in advising on the program. We advise potential applicants, we give lectures and seminars, we carry out application checks, and we are helping with the documents and the submission procedure. And we also share our expertise on European funding for culture with a national institution. This is our team. You can contact us via telephone or via email. You find lots of information on our webpage, which is updated all the time. So many things I already said here, you will find there. You can subscribe to our newsletter. There you will be, then you are updated to all the publication of new calls. And you will find us also on social media channels like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay, that's it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have some questions at the end, I think, yes, I can answer some.
Okay. Thank you, Anja. That was very interesting, and I'm pretty sure there will be some questions at the end of the session. But first, we want to see and have a look into Horizon Europe, the research framework program. And I hand it over to you, Franziska Scherer.
But maybe I can start talking without the slides a bit. I hope that will be not too much tiring for you. Just to say that, yeah, Horizon Europe is one of the, or is the world's biggest funding program for research and innovation, and it provides now with this edition of the European Framework Program for Research and Innovation, bigger chances for the culture and creative industries. I wanted to introduce you into the basics of the program, show you how is the program structured, because it's quite complex, so that you are able to know where to look for funding opportunities. And then, of course, I would like to inform you a bit about current funding possibilities. We have soon an open call for the music industry. And finally, I would give you some information about support services from your side as national contact point. Society, we are in charge for giving advice and providing the German interested community on all issues of Cluster 2. So now I have here to check again where we are. I can't, unfortunately, can't see you now. I come back now to see what is possible. Is the other, did you receive the slides?
No, unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. Okay, then I think I go on without the slides, because otherwise I think it is a pity, then we will lose our time. So as I said, Horizon Europe is very complex. It is built mainly on three big pillars. Each of these pillars have different program activities, program project instruments and funding instruments, but we talk about the pillar global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. And in this pillar, you will find 6 different such global challenges, but we will focus now on the cluster 2, culture, creativity, and inclusive society. This cluster, that's different, I think, from the information we heard about Creative Europe. The main difference is that this is not a bottom-up approach, meaning you can't come up with every and each interesting project idea and apply for funding. That is not meant with this program. We have here a top-down approach, meaning we have a very clear work program and calls for proposals with clear concrete description what your project should deliver and what your project should deal with. And that's, I think, one of the biggest differences in regard to the Culture and Creative Europe program we heard before. Yes, currently we have the work program 21 and 22. Also we have biennial work programs. So now this work program is available, and for the call for the year 2002, you can find already a specific topic on the European music ecosystem. And the full title of this topic is Towards a Competitive, Fair and Sustainable European Music Ecosystem. And this topic is a so-called research and innovation action. That means you have to do research within the consortium, and also you have to do innovation activities. And these projects are quite big projects. The budget per project is between 2 and 3 million euro, but only 3 projects in Europe will be funded for this topic. So I think it is quite hard. You will have many competitors in these calls, but at the end of the day, I think it is worth, because even if you will not receive the funding, you make a lot of contact and networking and get a lot of good ideas and exchanges through this phase of proposal preparation. That's what I heard from our proposers who were not successfully. Just to say that the call will open in January, and the deadline will be on the 20th of April. Also, these dates are fixed, and we have also a fixed time for that, not later than 5 p.m. Otherwise, your proposal will be not eligible, and then the system will be closed, because we all submit the proposals via the funding and tenders portal, this is the electronic submission system. To go a bit into the detail, what is this topic about? Towards a competitive, fair and sustainable European music ecosystem. So you should here develop new methodologies for capturing the economic and societal value of music. So the development of indicators and also standardized data collection is necessary, and is that what you should come up with in order to measure the contribution of the EU music sector to the whole economy, and also to measure the number of employed in the EU music sector and music consumption, be it live, broadcast, or on digital platforms. Another focus is put on the increase of the transparency of the music industry, especially the online streaming business, and that shall be done also with better data provision. And another point is that your research and innovation activities should provide policymakers with effective tools for this measuring and enhancing the impact of EU policy making in the context of Music Move Europe and also beyond. I think you know this initiative, Music Moves Europe. So then regarding the improvement of the statistical data, you and the methods you should also include micro enterprises and also big digital platforms which providing music free of charge and which are not reflected in official European statistics so far. Another focus is set on the impact of COVID-19 on the music sector, be it live or online. And then you should look at the economy of the streaming models in a long-term perspective, mapping of the various forms of music participation, playing, performing, creating, and consuming music should be something you should deal with in your project. Then it is also important to look at the representative geographic coverage across Europe. So it is here not enough to come up with 2-3 partners from 3 different member states. You have to look, that you have much more partners from institutions or industry or universities on board, being to have a broad range across Europe. So be it now in the south of Europe or the north or the west. So that is very important. And also, is it important to take into consideration different socio-economic groups regarding your analysis you have to do. So that's so far the content of this topic. I think it is, I'm sorry that I can't share with you the slides now. It's quite a bit difficult to follow now, I think, my explanations. But I don't know how much time do we have. I think we should also nearly come to an end. I would just invite you to contact us after the session, so per email, per phone, and if you have questions to our program. So I'm available and my team is available for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Franziska Scherer. It's a pity, but it's like it is. Yeah. And what I can do and provide you with is maybe a website so that you can, all of you who are out there and now wanting to see more and hear more, that you can go onto the website of either the NKS in Germany, which is here, just have put it in our internal chat. I hope that the technique can bring this to the chat to everyone. So there's an English version, and there is the horizont-europa.de website for Mrs. Scherer and the NKS in Germany. So we are nearly coming to the end. JP, is there any questions from the audience that?
Well, not from the audience. I would have some reflection myself and maybe a question myself, because like I was very intrigued by the way that you can ask for funding, and I was really surprised that after you send the request, you have to wait till 6 months just to see if you may have gotten the funding. And like, it seems something so like outer world, because like the music world, the music industry world moves so fast that like an album comes after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and then just to wait 6 months to know if you're going to get the funding, it's something that really is slow, if we want to say so.
Perhaps I can comment this.
Yes, sure.
Yes, of course, it is a very long period of time, but these projects are very big projects that have to be planned quite in detail. So you have to find the partners. You do a concept that takes you around 1 year. Most of the project
sure.
say that to us. So they need a year to prepare the project. Then they do the application and submit the application. And they already plan for a year later to start with the project. Of course, there are plans can change, but it's also possible to change the plans in your application after receiving the funding. That's possible. You can adjust this, but it's a Europe-wide. It's also more than the Europe member states, so they will get 300, perhaps 400 proposals for one call. So it takes time to read all the applications, to and to evaluate it. So this is the reason why. Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the milestones that I'm going to take away from these, it's going to be like the Music Moves Europe, which is something I'm definitely going to give a look, because I think it's a big support for many artists, and all of the way that the funding are structured, that was really, really helpful. Well, if we don't have any other questions, then I will say that we are getting to the end of this panel. And I want to thank you for participating. Thank you, all of the listener, for having listened to this topic. Please feel free to get in touch with them. There has been a lot of links published in the chat. So let's go and let's fund our artistic project with the help of these amazing professional. Thank you, Franziska. Thank you, Anja, and thank you, Rosita.
Thank you, and good luck.
Bye-bye.